Hello, today we'll look at Unipolar Depression Patient Health Questionnaire. This is PHQ-9. It actually is 9 questions that you can ask a patient to find out if the patient has depression or not. Which method do you think is the quickest and best to screen for patients for depression? Of course, we're dealing with this presentation, so this will be an obvious answer, PHQ-9 Depression Questionnaire. There exist a lot of other questionnaires which are more advanced, have many more questions, but I would say the quickest, the best method is to only ask 9 questions, and based on that, you will be able to tell if the patient has depression or not. So please sit down with the patient, ask these 9 questions, and give the patient some scores. There are minimum and maximum scores. We have 0 to 27. 0 the minimum score, 27 the maximum score. In between these, we will have some differences between mild and severe. Depression is indicated when we have more than 10 points. That means, you see, we have a minimum score 0, maximum score is 27, and if we have more than 10, then we have depression. Severe depression is indicated when we have more than 20 points. So, depression is more than 10, severe depression is more than 20, maximum score is 27. Why is it called PHQ-9? This is an abbreviation, Patient Health Questionnaire. PHQ, and it contains 9 questions, so PHQ-9. And therefore, we have this score, we have this table, we ask the questions, and we'll give some points. And therefore, you see, if you get more than 10 points, then you have depression. If you get more than 20 points, then you have severe depression. The 9 questions are: loss of pleasure. Does the patient have loss of pleasure in activities that usually cause the patient to have pleasure? Hobbies, friends, sexual intercourse, and so. Depressed mood. Does the patient have depressed mood? Does the patient have sleep disturbances? Does the patient have low energy? Appetite changes? Feelings of failure? Trouble concentrating? Moving or speaking too slowly, or a restless state? Either of these. A suicidal ideation, thinking about suicide. The minimum and maximum points possible for each question, these were the questions, are 0 to 3. So you can give either the patient 0, 1, 2, or 3. And in this way, we'll add this up, and then we will get the points, and if it's more than 10, it's depression. If it's more than 20, it's severe depression. So please look at this table, answer all these questions, give them points, and then you can answer. And which answers give these points now? 0 means not at all. So if I ask a patient, do you have a depressed mood? Then you tell me not at all, then it's 0. If you tell me that it's several days, yeah, I had it for several days, then it's 1. If you say more than half of the days, let's say we have in a week, we have 7 days, and you say it's 4 days of 7 that you have it, then it's number 2. If it's nearly every day, then out of 7, you say, yeah, it's 6, 7 days out of 7, then it's 3. So in order to remember, you can remember the point number 2 and 3, because point number 2 was more than half the days. Point number 3, every day. Point number 0 is not at all. This 1 point is a little bit diffuse. You say several days. This can be a little bit diffuse. But in order to remember it, I would go and remember number 3, which is nearly every day. If it's not every day, then I ask, is it more than half of the days? He tells me, no, it's not more than half the day. Let's say out of 7 days, it's like 2 days, 3 days every week. Then I know it's several days. Because it cannot be 0, because that is not at all. It cannot be 3, because that's every day. It cannot be 2, because that's more than 4 days of 7. So you see, number 1 point is around 1, 2, 3 days out of 7. So not at all, as we said, patient is happy, have no complaints, there's nothing to be concerned about. Several days, you see around 2. More than half of the days, you see, as I said, 4 days. and nearly every day, it's almost every day. I would say it's every day. To remember it, just remember it every day, okay? And these are the points. So if you know which points you have, 0, 1, 2, 3, if you know the 9 questions, then you can add this up and you get the score. And if it's more than 10, then you have depression. If it's more than 20, then you have severe depression. And let's look at this quick review now. So, which one is the best and quickest method to screen patients for depression? Which one? What we are talking about? PHQ-9 depression questionnaire. So sit down with the patient, ask these questions, and then you will find out if the patient has depression or not. The minimum maximum score being 0 to 27. 0 to 27. The points indicate that you have a depression when it's more than 10. So more than 10 is depression, and severe depression is 20. Now, why is it called PHQ-9? Because it's 9 questions. And we need to find out which are the questions. And this is the most important thing in this slide, these questions. Because if you know these questions, and if you know the 0 to 3 point system, then you know all this whole score. So this is the hardest thing to remember. So let's go deep now. Loss of pleasure, depressed mood, sleep disturbance, low energy, appetite change, feeling of failure, trouble concentrating, moving or speaking too slowly, or being restless, or suicidal ideation. I will tell it one more time. A patient comes in. The first thing I ask is, do you feel pleasure in your activities when you're playing with your friends, or when you are surrounded by your friends, when you are doing hobbies? Do you have pleasure in these things? If he says no, then I ask him, do you have no pleasure at all, meaning no day at all? That meaning 7 days out of 7, you have no pleasure in this. He says yes. Then I give him 3 points. If he says, no, I have pleasure sometimes. What is sometimes? Yeah, I don't know, once a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week. Then I know it's 0.1. Why? Because it's less than half of the days. That is meaning 1 point. If he says loss of pleasure, no, I have no loss of pleasure. I feel pleasure still. Then I give him 0 point for this question. And if he says I have loss of pleasure for more than half of the days, meaning 4, 5 days, then I know then I give him 2 points. And then we go on and do the same thing with all the questions. What about depressed mood? I ask, is it every day, more than half of the days, less than half of the days, or not at all? Sleep disturbances. How can you sleep? What is happening during the night? Can you go to bed and sleep for 7, 8, 9 hours? How many hours of sleep do you have? Low energy. What about during the day? Do you have energy to fulfill your duties, to do everything that you're supposed to do? Appetite. How much do you eat? Do you eat very much, or do you eat too few calories a day? Feeling of failure. What about your self-confidence? Do you have feelings of failure, or do you have feelings of success? Trouble concentrating. How can you concentrate? If you get a task, can you concentrate? Moving or speaking. This is something that I see also here with the patient when I'm talking to him. Is he slow, or is he restless? And I ask him, what about during the day? Are you always this restless, or are you always this tired and slowly moving type of guy? Suicide ideation. Have you ever thought about killing yourself? Have you ever thought about ending your life? Once again, loss of pleasure, depressed mood, sleep disturbances, low energy, appetite changes, too much, too few of calories, feeling of failure, trouble concentrating, moving or speaking too slowly or too fast, suicidal ideation. Minimum maximum score for each point, as we said, was 0 to 3. We give the points and we answer the questions by giving not at all, several days, which is less than half, 2 points for more than half, and 3 points for every day. So not at all, several days, less than half, and more than half of the days. And that's it. I thank you very much for listening, and hopefully when you have a patient with depression, or if you're a patient yourself, please answer these questions yourself. Write it down on a piece of paper, these 9 questions, and then make a table of points, 0, 1, 2, 3. Add this up. If it's more than 10, then please visit a doctor. Okay? Go to a doctor and visit the doctor with this paper and tell that you on the internet saw a questionnaire that you filled out and you think that you have depression, and you would like to speak with a doctor, and the doctor will then help you with this thing. And if you're a doctor, please, when a patient comes in and you suspect this patient having depression, do this 9-question questionnaire. It is very fast. It takes not more than 5 minutes if you're really effective. And in 5 minutes, then you have a kind of guidance of this patient. You know a lot about this patient only by asking these 9 questions, and then you can guide the therapy accordingly. So I thank you very much for listening, and take care and have a nice day. Bye-bye.